For this video, we're introducing the subscription coffee for the month of August, a beautiful Sidra varietal from Ecuador. Welcome back to another subscription video here at Coffee with April. This time we're introducing the coffee for the month of August. And we're very excited to bring you one of our limited coffees. Now, these are the highest priced, smallest lot of the highest quality that we have here at April. And we're trying very hard to every once in a while make sure that that's featured within our subscription as well. Basically because we really appreciate the fact that you guys are subscribing. Now, a bit of detail about the coffee. So for those of you that don't know, the coffee is from Ecuador. It's a farm called Pillcocaja, which we've been working with for the last 2 seasons. This season, we actually purchased the full amount of their specially graded coffee, which goes up to about 2 tons of coffee in total. This lot specifically is about 90 kilos of green coffee, so a very, very small lot of coffee, which makes it even more interesting. First, a bit detail about the green coffee itself, because what makes this really fun is the fact it's a Sidra varietal. Now, Sidra is actually a hybrid varietal between red Bourbon and Typica. So what they've been trying to do is actually merge the best qualities of these 2 coffees. For those of you that followed us in the past, knows that Typica is one of my personal favorite varietals. Mixing that basically means floral and citrusy, very vibrant coffees. Very much reminiscent of Ethiopian coffee, together with the red Bourbon that is very sweet, have these beautiful kind of chocolatey notes. Just makes for a really interesting, very tasty coffee. Now, the coffee in itself at the farm, as most coffees, grows up about 1,600 meters. And Farmer Anna Maria is doing some really interesting work. They're actually harvesting right now. So we're in contact with them discussing the upcoming harvest, which we are going to be releasing in January, February, later on here in April, which we're really excited to do. Now, moving away from the green coffee and taking a look at the roasting here. So, as per usual, we're talking a 15 kilo batch size on a 15 kilo Loring Falcon, right? Which we do kind of consistently here. Total roast time is 10 minutes and 13 seconds with a total time after crack of 1 minute and 4 seconds. For those of you that want to know development time, that means basically 10.4%. The end temperature of this coffee is 208.3, which again, if you follow us, you know that that's an end temperature that we put most of our filter coffees on, depending on what those generate in terms of colors. Now, because this is Sidra, and in general the Typica family is picking up color a bit different from other coffees, we're usually stretching that closer to 209 than when we would 207. Okay. That being said, we're going to walk you through now how we're actually brewing it. And as we've done the last few months here, our kind of suggested recipes are always going to be based on our April brewing kit, which we designed ourselves to basically make sure that we get the most out of our coffees. The recipe that I'm going to use is actually the exact same recipe we're currently working with in the shop, because this coffee was actually on bar last week. So we're dosing 13 grams of coffee, and we're going to pour a total of 200 grams of water. Now, the pouring structure is in 2 very simple steps. We start with 100 gram, and that pour will take you roughly 10 seconds. Now, the initial 30 grams of that pour is in a circle, and the last 70 grams of that pour is going to be in a center. We let that sit up until 30 seconds, and then we do the second pour, which is identical to the first pour. Our water temperature sits at 92 degrees Celsius. Again, we're using water temperature to regulate the sweetness or the acidity in the coffee. So lower temperature means slightly less sweetness, more acidity. Higher temperature is going to generate more sweetness and a bit more of a heavier body in the cup as well. That's why we find working with water on the lower side is quite beneficial when it comes to coffees like this. A little side note here as well, which again is always going to be the main challenge when it comes to home brewing, is the water that we're using. Currently, we're brewing coffees with a water here that sits between 60 and 70 total ppm. As most of you guys already know, we actually prefer working with third wave water when it comes to home brewing. Not that we have any collaborations with them, but it's just something that we feel work really well. So basically using some kind of demineralized water as a base and then adding one of these capsules. I should say that when we do that, we're actually using our own kind of ratio. It's usually 5 liters of water to 1 pack of minerals, which is quite a lot more water than what they actually suggest in their own kind of pitch. So keep that in mind if that's something that you want to actually work with. Now, in terms of taste notes, what we're gonna find in this coffee here is, and that's been changing as well since we got this coffee, which has been quite interesting. So we have, as from a lot of Ecuadorian coffees, we have these beautiful kind of apple notes to it. At the moment, more towards the green apple side than anything else. We have floral quality, so it's a result of the Typica. When brewing it in the shop last week, we find a lot of kind of clementine notes into it as well. So there's a citrus, but it's quite more interesting than just lemon or what we would find normally from an Ethiopian coffee, for example, right? So it's quite a lot rounder and a bit more orange-red in taste spectrum, which makes it really interesting. Overall, being a washed, processed coffee, it becomes super clean and super juicy all the way. So this is not going to be one of those limited coffees that are a funky process and is super expressive. This is just a really clean, well-balanced, very tasty coffee. So we're going up at 3 minutes and the brew is basically done. It's not much more complicated than that. With that, we want to thank you guys for watching. We also want to take this opportunity to introduce a new thing, which we're going to be launching in future subscriptions, where we're actually going to invite you guys to sit down at a Zoom meeting or discussion, call it whatever you want to, of online platform where we can sit and actually enjoy the subscription coffee specifically together. That's going to be kind of interesting. We're going to try to launch that for this month. If we can't do that, we're going to launch it for the next month. But check your inboxes because we will be sending you an email relatively soon explaining what we're trying to do. It's just really kind of inviting you in and have a bit more of a transparent discussion about these coffees. Now, again, if you guys have any comments, any thoughts, just feel free to write them down here. We're super happy when you subscribe. We're super happy when you share with your friends. Thank you for watching.